Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan, and today we're going to take a look at some pretty cool fan-made playsets for your Star Trek action figures. That's right, I'm talking the original Star Trek toys from the folks over at Playmates. You know, the Playmates Toys Star Trek line is one of my favorite toy lines. I absolutely love that line growing up, specifically The Next Generation. As I was watching that series on television at the time, that was a line that both myself and my dad really enjoyed. And it's one of the few times I ever actually shared toys with my father. And so it's always been one of those very special toy lines to me. And I think it's really cool what DazBot Customs is doing in the 3D printed custom playset space. So today we're going to take a look at a few of their offerings and see how they fit with your original Star Trek action figures. So I think a great place to start is by taking a look at the briefing table from the observation lounge on the Enterprise D in Star Trek The Next Generation. This particular set that I'm looking at here comes with the briefing table as well as a set of chairs to go with it. And this is where we can really start by showing off the quality of the items and how they're built, because these are all 3D sculpted and then 3D printed. So it's a set of 3D printed toys, and if you're familiar with 3D printing, you might know what to expect with this. So I will note that you will notice some of these like the lines and everything from the way that the items come off of the 3D printer, and it's that kind of like lightweight plastic that you would expect to come from the 3D print machines. But otherwise they seem really nicely made. They're mostly just printed in the colors that they need to be here. With the briefing table itself, you'll have to attach the legs. You can see the legs are separate pieces and they just kind of easily plug onto the table. It's nice and snug, holds the table up. But it's really interesting because even this center part of the table, you can see is a separate piece. So obviously this was 3D printed on its own in black. There's a little bit of paint deco on there to bring some colors to the little control panels. And that just fits nice and flush inside of the table itself, the brown part of the table. And then you've got all of these chairs around it. So it does feel good and sturdy, but it is just that 3D print feel. And I think most of us know what to expect with the 3D printed stuff. And I will say the technology keeps getting better and better. So this stuff is pretty nice looking. And just so you can see, it is perfectly in scale with the 5-inch Playmates Toys figures. So I do have a vintage Captain Picard here to stand with the table so you could see what he looks like with it. And of course, you could really flesh this out. This is a great one because, you know, you can get your main crew all sitting around the table here if you'd like to, and they always came with such great little accessories and everything too, so you could put those up and around the table. It's a really nice little scene, and I think that's what's so fun about this overall set is that we've got the ability to create all these amazing environments out of the TV series, just to really liven up your toy shelf with all of the amazing figures that Playmates Toys produced during the Star Trek runs. Now, it's also worth noting that Playmates is releasing brand new Star Trek figures, and they're essentially in the same scale. So this will also fit with the newer figures if you're planning to pick those up as well. All right, so let's jump into the next set that we're going to take a look at. And for this one, we'll be jumping back to the original series to take a look at Captain Kirk's captain's chair and the navigation panel. Really cool stuff here if you want to recreate a bridge scene from the original series. Now, I want to show you guys how these are all separate pieces here. This particular set comes with the captain's chair. You got the 2 chairs for the nav controls here, and then that actual control deck. So again, all 3D printed pieces, but I do want to show you how the captain's chair has a really good weight to it. It's nice and hefty. You can see that it's 2 separate pieces that have a magnet that will help hold it together, but also allows the swivel of the chair, which is pretty cool. You can also see that it does have in the sculpt some of the panels there at the sides. So if you wanted to do some customization on your own, you could totally paint that up as well, just add a little bit more color to it. But this is a nice, hefty little chair there. Then we just have the solid blue 3D printed chairs to go for the navigation panel. And this right here is all completely separate. It's really cool the way it all fits together. So you can pull this apart, all these different pieces. You got the center base here. Again, these parts are all unpainted. Could be some custom work that you want to do. But I will say that the actual control panels on top look really cool because you do have all these colorful buttons here that are all painted in. There is a custom decal on here as well. That's the alarm that is meant to fall off. I'm going to show you that here in a second. This will just kind of fit right there on that center console to hold it on. You've also got the weapons targeting scope over here, which is also removable. It is magnetically held in place, so you can put that on there as well. But let me show you back with this alarm here. So this is white, so if there's no alert happening, but it also comes with yellow alert and red alert. So it's easy to just take that off. You can put the little red one on in its place. And then if you wanted it to be a little bit more permanent, you could glue that in place. Like you could pick the one that you like the best and you can glue it in place there. But I think it's pretty cool that you've got the options to change the alert status for your display. And then one more thing I want to show you guys that's really cool is this also does have an included little LED light inside here. And you just twist this to turn it on. It glows bright green. You can place this back inside here. And then we can place this cover back on top. Now, it really doesn't show up very good in my lighting. Maybe if I dim my lights a little bit. But this is really cool because look at this. Now we've got... Look at that. You got this lit up control board here, which is pretty cool. So just adds some more ambiance to the overall display. I'll turn my lights back up here. And while this is definitely meant for your original crew, right, from the original Enterprise, I do have just some next generation characters sitting in just to show you what this looks like. But if you've got your actual next generation crew, I know sacrilege putting Picard in a Kirk chair, but hey, I think this is a really great set. And if you're an original crew person or you want a great little display piece for a bridge representation from the original Enterprise, this is a really nice little set. And now we're going to talk about the granddaddy of all these playsets. This thing completely blows me away. This is the 10 forward playset. Yes, a full-on 10 forward bar and lounge to display all of your Star Trek figures in. One thing I want to note about this is I don't even have the front panels on this. Much like the actual vintage Star Trek playsets like the Bridge from Playmates, this thing can be built all the way around with walls going all the way around. So everything you see across the back is duplicated for the front. So I've got like the extra doors. I've got this extra panel with this couch on it. I could build this out all the way around if I wanted to, but two things. One, my table's not big enough here in my review studio. And two, I wanted to make sure it was nice and open so you guys could see everything in here. All of these panels just kind of sit up against each other. There are little lips that will help to click them together, but they don't necessarily lock in place, which is one of those things that's kind of good because it allows you some maneuverability with all the pieces so you can fit this on your shelf or however you want to display it. Whether it be like a tabletop surface that's wide enough for it, or a shelf if you want to build it in kind of like I did, where the front is open and you can see on the inside there. It works out in different ways. So it's pretty good that you can actually place these however you want to make them fit. But this right here is a great example of how it does all kind of sit together nice and flush to create this beautiful environment for your action figures. Now, measurements. This thing is 27 inches by 22 inches. It is absolutely massive, and there are so many cool details going on with this. First of all, you'll notice that across the way, we do have the doors. And they've got these little tabs on the top so that you can pull them open. Now, you can see I'm kind of moving the playset around a little bit. So they don't like perfectly slide, but like if you can really position your fingers on it and pull it open and closed, it should work pretty good for you. So many other cool details worked all the way in. And this is like an artistic representation of what the whole thing looks like, but there's a lot of great details here. And I love the textures. Now you can see it is mostly grays on the walls. Again, giving kind of that vintage playset feel to it. If you really wanted to, you could probably deco this up yourself if you want to get a little bit more creative. But you can see it does come with a whole series of 3D printed chairs and tables but also lots of cool little bits and extras, like all of the really fancy glasses and bottles that are molded in like this kind of translucent-y, shiny green and white plastic. And then each table also has the interesting little pyramid devices sitting on them as well. We've got some fancier chairs over here at the bar that have sort of like this crystally plastic used for the base. So again, they've got this beautiful shimmer. Just has this really great futuristic feel that you would expect from the 10 forward bar. And then we've got the bar up here in the front. Again, every one of these pieces, they're all individual because they're all individually 3D printed, but then they all sit together to form this beautiful structure here. Now, there's some really cool details going on with this. One of the things that I love is that included with this is also this bag of little LED lights. And I've already got some of them on there. It is a bit hard to see it under my studio lights, so we'll try to get some good shots. But these little 3D lights have little switches. You flip the switch, you can see how they light up. And then you'll notice that there are little slots on the top all around the bar and all these different areas, so that when you drop these pieces in, I've actually already got them all already in here, but boom, that's actually lighting up the wall back here behind the bar, lighting up the display behind the bar. You can put 7 of them within the bar itself, so it illuminates the tabletop, and it does the same thing on each of these tabletops, which I've already got most of them illuminated. But let me show you. You can just remove the top of the table and see how there's like a little hole there in the table itself. We could just take one of these lights, power it on, drop it in this little hole, and then we take the tabletop, put it back on the top there of the base, and now the table itself is illuminated. And again, we've got these cool little lights along the walls back there, and you do the same thing with that. You could just take these little LED lights, you can flip them on, you can drop them down in the slot there. And this is a one, it's long enough that you can actually put 2 of these LEDs in there. Maybe even more than that, it looks like. Let's try one more. Let's see how another one fits in there. Yeah, look at that. And now it's all lit up. So again, it just helps to add to the overall ambiance of the entire playset here, which I think is incredibly cool. And then this thing is so big that you just totally pack it full of your action figures. And of course, Playmates produced so many figures in their Star Trek lines, so we could fill this out with crew members and all sorts of different aliens. We can get an incredibly cool display here. Plus, pair these up with some of the neat little pieces that came packaged with some of the Star Trek figures. I mean, it really does just decorate out very nicely. Like, for example, the Guinan figure had the classic Star Trek chess sets. You can add those to your 10 forward lounge display. I don't know. I absolutely love this. This is so incredibly creative and such a massive display. It's incredible to see what the fans are doing just to kind of continue this line and find great ways to display these really fun toys that, in my opinion, still hold up perfectly today. So there you go, my friends. I hope you enjoyed today's look at the amazing custom Star Trek playsets from DazBot Custom Toys. These are really, really fun. I'm always impressed with what fans are able to do and how they continue to create new toys and new playsets to just make these original toy lines that we all grew up loving continue to live on to this day, finding great ways to display the toys. And of course, with the 3D printing technology constantly advancing and being more and more available to people, it's just really incredible to see the things that folks are coming out with. Now, I'm going to link in the video description to the Etsy store where you can check out some of these custom playsets for yourself. It is worth mentioning that the prices are a bit on the higher side depending on what you're getting. They're all custom made, custom designed, 3D printed, so of course the supplies and everything add to the cost. They're, going to be kind of a made to order type of thing, which really plays into the price point, especially on some of those larger play sets like the 10 forward one that we looked at today. But if you're looking at some pieces to round out your Star Trek display, you want to spruce up your shelves, I definitely think these guys are worth checking out. So link in the video description down below. Thank you guys so very much for watching this video, and until next time, my friends.